Christmas brings on some nostalgic gold. There's no doubt about that. How many movies can you think of right off the top of your head? Nightmare Before Christmas, the Santa Claus, the Rudolph one, the claymation one, you know what I'm talking about, the Frosty the Snowman cartoon. The list goes on and on and on. Some would argue Star Wars are Christmas movies, all of them. Some would argue Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Batman movies are Christmas movies. Pretty much anything you can enjoy with a group of people after you've already seen it a billion times could be considered a Christmas movie. And there are some absolutely garbage ones. But one that I feel like was a miracle, a movie that should have never been what it was Jingle All the Way, 1996. I'm talking about Arnold, Sinbad, a young Darth Vader. You know, one of the funniest guys ever, Phil Hartman. We had a cast in this movie that was unbelievable, and it was a kid's film, but it was a kid's film that was full of action, adventure, ridiculously cheesy jokes, and even WCW superstars. Man, I'm talking about some nostalgic gold. So Arnold Schwarzenegger pretty much just works his ass off to pay for everything. Jamie, you know, Darth Vader, the young Darth Vader in this movie, has to be catered to in ways that I feel like are a little bit overboard. So many people are from broken homes and don't have like even 1/10 of the kind of parenting that you see in this movie. And Jamie's just like, everything's so terrible. And it's like, bro, like your dad's not like just blowing you off and telling you to kiss his ass, or maybe not even calling you at all. He's saying, you know, like, I'm making sure that you have like one of the sickest rooms in the world. I mean, look at Jamie's room. Phil Hartman in this movie. Phil Hartman was the best. He was like the Ned Flanders that went around screwing everybody's wife in this movie. It's absolutely hilarious. The facials that this guy delivers, I mean, he is really a gem, and we were lucky to ever have Phil Hartman on this planet. He was gone too soon, R.I.P. But in this movie, he kills as that character that is just so cringy, so annoying, and just like slaying until the scumbag that he is finally, you know, comes out to light. It's great. And what a brazen bastard. What a crazy dude to be like trying to screw Arnold Schwarzenegger's wife. Wow.
To my wife. So could you get her on the phone, please?
I think she's in the shower, Howard. Do you want me to go check? Oh, she won't worry. I mean, I'm here and... Oh, these cookies! I gotta get the recipe from Les.
Put that cookie down! Now!
And Arnold Schwarzenegger doing his best to try to mend the issues between himself and his son, Jamie. And unfortunately, you see the power of capitalism and the power of advertising, because right off the bat, like the answer to the question, it's like, well, Dad, you're scarring me for life, but you know, if you just got me this Turbo Man action figure, we're good. Like, the wounds aren't that fucking deep, Jamie. They're not that deep if all it takes is a Turbo Man. And this is coming from a guy who has held a Turbo Man in his arms. You don't believe me? There you go. Will you take a look at Arnold Schwarzenegger's sweater in this movie? He is wearing a sweater from Atlanta, Georgia's '96 Olympics. I can only imagine the world descending on redneck culture at its peak in Atlanta, Georgia. We're talking about Dale Earnhardt, the Winston Cup, WCW Nitro. We're talking about just 90s pop country, and all the mullets were just on display, baby. It was America as fuck. And that's where the Olympics happened. Like, Jeff Foxworthy had a bunch of bits about it. Jesus Christ, retrospectively looking back and thinking about that now, I mean, the culture shock had to be real. Can you imagine all the different countries' professional athletes showing up in Atlanta, Georgia in the middle of the 90s? Wow. Dude, oh my God, when Sinbad shows up, then the movie just takes a whole nother direction. You've got this guy, he's a mail courier, he shows up in line, he's a father desperate, they're trying to show like a class struggle here in this position, because you've got this mail courier who is driving his, federal vehicle, and he's got his uniform on, but he seems like he's not doing that well in life, which is really interesting considering that that's a federal job and all the benefits and stuff. I'm not trying to say that they're living high on the hog, but to look at postal workers as if they're like trashy people or something like that, I think that's kind of garbage. It's not really a fair take on what those people do and how important they are. And like, I thought that was pretty interesting that they made his character as a postal worker kind of seem like a low level trashy kind of person. But anyway, he's freaking hilarious. He's in the line ranting and raving, and he sounds like everybody's favorite conspiracy Karen. You've got Alexis Jones, the one we all love, but he's going on and on about these conspiracy theories, and Arnold's just like, yeah, I appreciate it, guy. I'm trying to get this doll too. And then you get into the hunt for this Turbo Man doll. And in the first stage of this hunt, I found something that happened that was very, very funny. And it seemed like a similar tale to something that happened here recently. Imagine paying for something, overpaying for something that was wildly popular and coveted, and people were trying to get it like crazy, and then being disappointed when you overpaid for a booster box that wasn't that special and that nobody wanted, because nobody in Jingle All the Way wanted booster. Nobody was trying to get that booster, and it reminds me of those dudes that paid all that money to the fake Pokemon guru for the shitty booster box that wasn't the real booster box that nobody wanted. Do you guys remember that? Let's reminisce.
They're open.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, no. Hi, we just opened the box, literally live, and they're resealed packs.
Look, energy cards.
Yeah.
And base set 2. Yeah.
There's like base set 2 mixed in.
I don't know why, I just find that moment to be hilarious when people are trying to cash in on the Pokemon trend and end up looking like idiots. Very funny. Merry Christmas. Oh! The toy shelf B-roll in this movie. They were showing all the Marvel toys. This had to have been in a Toys R Us or a KB Toys. It was some kind of toy store, but if I want to find the unedited B-roll. Is it just the rack of all those badass figures? Oh my God. The mall lotto scene. There's this manager with a kid's toy around his neck. It's like a radio or whatever. He's got one of those little microphones that you can barely understand what people are saying when they talk through them, giving directions that they're going to be lotterying out a chance to buy the Turbo Man doll. And all these people are just standing in line. Next thing you know, all hell breaks loose. The balls go everywhere. And you've got Arnold chasing this kid that ends up getting the ball for the lottery for a chance maybe to buy the Turbo Man doll. Yes, that's just as this scene's just as crazy as it sounds. Oh shit, I forgot the jump scene for the lottery balls, because they go out everywhere. It looks like they're just not even trying to catch the balls. They're just like jumping in the air, and there's all these balls smacking them in the face. Yeah, I said it. Bounces over the ledge of the mall, lands in the lap of a kid, and then here he is like in the craziest scene chasing a kid around in the ball pit. And the face that he makes at this kid, man, is the creepiest shit I believe I've ever seen in my life. It's just like, bro, what are you doing, bro? What are you doing? One of the best parts of this movie is the Santa Claus criminal enterprise. You can't, this movie just is so ridiculous It's just non-stop ridiculousness from start to finish. Funny ass scene where there's like a dwarf elf and a Santa Claus in the mall. It's, hey Arnold, we got a Turbo Man. No problem. Let me call some people, take us somewhere. We can get you a Turbo Man. No big deal. So they hop into Arnold's car. They're driving down this warehouse and they go in and it's all like mafia style. And then you've got Mini-Me, as if this movie wasn't crazy enough with Phil Hartman, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sinbad, and Darth Vader. You've got Mini-Me and the goddamn giant from WCW. What the hell? How do you can't compare this shit. You cannot compare this shit to like what modern movies are. They just did it. They did it, man. They got the goddamn giant and Mini-Me. Known as the Big Show. I forgot. I know. When you see the beard, the changing color, okay. WCW, that's real to me. All right, the giant, but the Big Show, got you. And then there's a line where the cops show up, and the dwarf elf from the mall is just like, "It's the Grinch, scatter!" And just like they're trying so hard to make this like a legitimate Christmas themed criminal enterprise where they're selling like bootleg Turbo Man dolls and shit. That line was just like they really did it, man. They really did it. And I just want to say that like the actor that played Anakin Skywalker, the young Anakin, and Jamie, like I can't remember what exactly is going on, but like shit went south for that guy and he's had it pretty rough. But I just want to say, like, as far as his childhood is concerned, like, hold on. You're telling me this guy's not even 13 years old and in his life he's been told, all right, you're going to be Darth Vader one day. And right now, Arnold Schwarzenegger's your dad. So the Terminator's your dad and you're Darth Vader. That's the best fucking childhood you could ever have. Imagine someone telling you your dad was the Terminator and you're going to be Darth Vader. I'd just be walking around just like, yeah, say something, you know? Like, what? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? The heartwarming Sinbad Arnold Schwarzenegger moment where they're sitting in the coffee shop. And of course, Sinbad's drinking booze because we got to look at the mailman. Like he's disappointing his kid and he's going crazy and he's drinking booze on the holidays, like a fine representation of our male folks there, the couriers. And he has this situation where Sinbad's talking about his present he wanted that his dad didn't get him, and that was part of the reason why he's so jacked up. And then Arnold sees Jamie in the uniform taking a swig from the bottle, and it's just like one of the most uncomfortable scenes. And I think about a lot of things in this movie would have been totally irrelevant if the technology was there like we have now. Internet like from 2005 or something would have solved this whole conundrum here, like placing an order online or searching to see if things were available, or many numbers of things like calling people on payphones and shit happens. Like the radio host scene where Sinbad and Arnold are fighting to answer, you know, the names of the reindeer so they can win a Turbo Man doll, and they're fighting for the payphone. It's like we don't even think of shit like that. Like we have it so much easier now, and just to see the trouble that could be caused from all the scenarios in this movie, a large majority of them could have been solved just by having access to the internet. Like fucking this movie would have been 30 minutes long, you know? And of course, you have some of the humor that comes later on in the movie that's just like so dated. And dated to the point where in 2001 this movie would have been dated. Because there's a bomb joke. Sinbad, the mail carrier, he's got the bomb and he's fucking screaming at everybody because he wants the Turbo Man doll, finding out that they don't have the Turbo Man doll, and then the police show up, so he's got to do something, right? So he pretends like he's got a bomb, and you can't get away with shit like that post 9/11. Back then you could. But yeah, you can't get away with shit like that. And another joke was when they're at the parade and it's time for the end of the film and all the crazy badass shit's gonna happen. The booster mascot, the guy in the booster costumes, yelling at Arnold to hurry up because he's imitating Turbo Man because he's found himself in another crazy circumstance where he can get the Turbo Man action figure to his son at their parade. And the booster mascot says, "Hey up, I'm sweating like a dog in a Chinese restaurant over here." And I was just like, oh, 1996. Come on, man. And yeah, it was just a different time. And then you have some of the craziest scenes in the whole damn movie. Somehow Sinbad gets in the supervillain's costume, and then you've got Arnold, he's in the Turbo Man costume, and they're fighting over the exclusive giveaway Turbo Man that's supposed to be handed out in the parade. And of course, Arnold's trying to hand it to his son, who doesn't even know he's at the parade dressed up as fucking Turbo Man. Which, why didn't he just go ahead and show that off to begin with? Because you'd think at that point, his son would be elated to know, holy shit, my dad's Turbo Man. But that's the end of the movie, so I guess they couldn't just do that right then. But you have Sinbad and Arnold fighting, and Arnold's in this actual fucking jetpack flying around. Man, what a crazy ass film. And of course, things end with a little craziness, like Jamie's captured and then they're falling and shit's flying around on the jetpack and then they're all crashing, and then it's like, oh, Turbo Man, and Jamie's like, no, Sinbad, you take Turbo Man because my dad's really Turbo Man. Beautiful, heartwarming Arnold Schwarzenegger family Christmas classic that just so happened to have Darth Vader, Sinbad, Phil Hartman, the Giant, Vern Troyer, just badass awesomeness. I think it's nostalgic gold, and I appreciate you sticking around to talk about this and think about this and reminisce on Jingle All the Way with me. If you enjoyed this video, if you could give it a like, I would greatly appreciate that. If you subscribe to my channel, I'll be putting out this original content every once in a while. Sometimes I'll be putting out gaming content as well, and I also do a lot of reactions on my own and with my awesome girlfriend Nikki and my puppy Shorty. So if you want to see any of that, go ahead and subscribe, and until next time, I will see you then.